Good afternoon. I think we had a very insightful full first half of the day. The next topic for this is the third session, and the topic for this session is private sector roles in athletic development. What we just saw was quite a performance, I must say. I hope you all enjoyed it. Moving on to our next session, we have an esteemed panel from the corporate sector who will be discussing the topic of this session, which is private sector roles in athlete development. The private sector has been playing key roles in the country for the promotion of sports. One has to just switch on the television and watch any sports channel to see the branding. The sponsors of these sporting events have made the athletes into super mega stars, and for the viewers' entertainment, a wonderful form of recreation. Mizoram has been working with Tata Trust and Reliance Foundation in football, while in badminton with Tata Trust and Gopichand Academy, and the results have been impressive. To state a few, and I won't take up too much of your time, the Reliance Foundation Young Champs Nopang League 2023, which ran over 7 months across the 4 districts of Aizawl, Champhai, Lunglei, and Kolsip, saw a participation of over 160 teams with 1,500 plus boys and girls between the age group from under 5 to under 13. Then there was the Reliance Foundation Youth Sports Inter-School and Colleges competition, where a total of 84 teams played 167 matches within a duration of just 3 months. This was achieved through the joint efforts of Reliance Foundation with Mizoram Football Association. The Tata Trust, the Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, the Mizoram Badminton Association, and the Mizoram State Sports Council have partnered since 2018 to promote badminton in Mizoram through an intensive multi-level training initiative. The initiative identifies and grooms talents from the grassroots levels through high-level coaching and world-class facilities. In phase 1 itself, 40 grassroots centers, 1,800 plus trainees enrolled, 2 regional development centers, 5 trainees in top 10 of BAI ranking, just to state a few. And the second phase has just started. The dedication and professionalism, the management and documentation that the private sector insists on is as important as the part that the athletes play. And the most important of all is the funding, which makes it all possible. For the private sector, investing in sports has been and will continue to help in brand image building, visibility, prominence, and drive public interest and viewership, eventually leading to popularity and support from fans for the sponsors. We are going to look into how the private sector has been playing and will be playing key roles in providing opportunities to our athletes. Let us now invite our panelists for discussion on the private sector's role in athlete development. I would like to call on our first panelist. Please welcome Ms. Neelam Babar Desai on stage. Ms. Babar Desai is the head of sports for Tata Trust since 2017. She is a computer engineer. Earlier to this, she was the head of school physical education program, training and operations in the sports Gurukul. She was a national level gymnastic. I think she still has the figure for it. And she also has her own gymnastic institute academy in Mumbai. Welcome, ma'am. Please give her a big round of applause. Our next panelist is the very Shiva Keshavan. He is a 6-time Olympian. Please we welcome him on stage. Mr. Keshavan is a 6-time Olympian, a 4-time Asian champion. He is the head of Olympic Scholarships Reliance Foundation. He is also a part of the Indian Olympic Association and Olympic Council of Asia Athletics Commission. He is the president of the Olympian Association India and he's the only Arjuna awardee in Olympic winter sports. Please give him a big round of applause. For our third panelist, we have Mr. Rajdi Worley. Mr. Rajdi, if we can have you on stage, please. Mr. Worley is the CEO of Inspire Institute of Sports since 2016. He has worked with high-performance sports in New Zealand and was involved in performance and strategic investment. He also led the aquatic team of New Zealand to the 2012 Olympics. He has also worked in South Africa, again with the high-performance sports, and he also led the South African team, the aquatic South African team, for the 2008 Olympics. Please give him a big round of applause. And to moderate our session, we would like to call upon Mr. Mihir Vasavda. Mr. Mihir Vasavda is the Senior Assistant Editor of Sports Section of the Indian Express since 2012, prior to which he was a senior correspondent for sports with DNA Mumbai. Mr. Vasavda is a graduate of Mass Communication and Media Studies. Please give our panelists a big round of applause. Mr. Vasavda, the next hour is yours to moderate, sir.
Yeah. I hope everyone at the back can hear us. If you can just help us with a round of applause for all our panelists so that we can be sure that you can hear me. I can't hear you at least. All right, yeah, that's better. Thank you for your introduction, and like you said, it's a great panel to have, but I'll just like to briefly give an overview of each of them. Neelam, if I'm correct, you were 8 years old when you started gymnastics and you fell in love with gymnastics, and I don't think there was a day that passed by when you didn't practice it. Unfortunately, an injury kind of curtailed who knows what would have been a career, great career. Perhaps sports science back then would have helped, but here you are helping young athletes achieve their ambitions, achieve their goals. Shiva, where do I begin? Of course, Winter Olympian, multiple time. You're the only one carrying the flag in Winter Olympics for India for so many decades. You've been quite, to use a word that the Delhi walas use a lot, jugadu, in the way you have come up. I think if many of you haven't already, you should just look up his video that went pretty viral. It would put many TikTokers to shame, where he just went on his sled and went downhill on the on the foothills of Himalayas, and just a GoPro to capture all of it. I don't think many adventure sports activists would do that either. Last but not the least, Rashdi. Decades of running high performance programs in South Africa, in New Zealand. Perhaps maybe we can say that as South Africa is now considered a swimming powerhouse, you have a role to play in that. And here you are in India trying to establish something. Hope a very big thing too. The reason actually I wanted to give this brief overview is because it touches three important points over here. The stories bring up narratives which I think a lot of us will be talking about in the coming years and decades. With Neelam, like I mentioned, sports science, it wasn't there back then, but now we are starting to talk about it. With Shiva, we have seen that success can be achieved without having any or very little support. And with Rashdi, we can see the benefits of having focused approach in a sport which is a high medal discipline at the Olympics, something that we in India haven't been looking at very in a very disciplined manner, in a very focused manner. It is of course very naive for us to expect that the government and the federations will be doing everything, and that's where I think the private entities are now stepping up. We are seeing in the last decade their roles have really changed and gained a lot of importance. So with that, I think I'll come to my first question, which is for you, Neelam. You've been working here in Mizoram very closely, and I guess by broader extension in the Northeast overall. Can you just, give us an overview of what your observations are of the sporting landscape here? What have you experienced?
Thank you, Mihir. And before I start, I would first like to express my deep happiness and gratitude to Honorable Chief Minister and the Sports Minister, Tetya, to have us here, because I think I've been privileged, thanks to Tata Trust. I've been visiting Mizoram since 2018. And I've seen a sea of change over the past 6 years. The one constant that remains is the passion for sports, which the Honorable Chief Minister also touched upon, and we all know here. And that's, I think, one of the biggest attractions for me to keep coming here regularly. The culture that you have here, the joy that the people feel in just participating in sports. It's not really the competitive setup where they're focused on, getting medals or getting to the next level. It's just the joy of getting to the court, playing and having fun. I think that was the biggest differentiating factor for me, if you see, when after visiting all the other states that we work in. We started with the football and badminton program here. Again, for the first time when we joined the Tata Trust, and I heard about this, that, football and Mizoram, badminton and Mizoram, such a hilly state, where would, the first question I think everybody has when they come first time to the state. And it was an amazing thing for me to really see those pockets, those patches of land really made every community having a badminton court, unheard of. Even in the top tiered cities, Mumbai, I've been staying there for so many years, but that doesn't have a badminton court in every community. That kind of grassroots infrastructure available was one of the key factors for us to think about having a structured program in the state. And we could have it, because we truly believe that we don't, as the trust, thought process was not to invest in infrastructure more, but to focus on programs, focus on process, look at gaps which are available in the ecosystem. With our experience of working in Jharkhand, Odisha for hockey and Uttarakhand for athletics, our strength has been that we were able to identify the different strengths of each state, find out what the gaps were in each state, and then try and complement and try and fill in the gaps rather than trying to put a one-stop solution to everything. And that's worked really well in Mizoram for us. The biggest gap was the non-availability of a structured training program for youngsters at a young age to get to the competitive levels. There were players, there were ex-players whom we trained and employed as coaches in our grassroots centers. So that's been, again, one of the policies that we do everywhere. Coach education is an integral part of our program, and that's what has really been one of the backbones of all our programs, so that we are able to tap into the local youth. We are able to give them training through our technical partners, and we are very lucky and privileged to have Kopichan, the biggest name in the sport, as a technical partner who's completely invested in the state, who truly believes and has seen the potential for the sport in the state and has been with us for so many years. So training them and then putting a process where we can engage community, we can engage the association, we can engage with the government, working on a collaborative platform where all of us could come together, pulling our strengths and then deliver a program here. So the ecosystem, the work that we've been able to do with the ecosystem and which already existed, I would say. We were able to strengthen it by filling those gaps, and that has been a truly, I would say, a rewarding experience personally for me and for the trust, because we've already achieved accolades in this short period that we've worked here.
Lovely. That's quite a lot of work that's happening on ground here from your end. Shiva, you guys at Reliance have been involved. Neelam mentioned grassroots, and grassroots is something that you, in collaboration with the Mizoram Football Association, have been doing pretty well. The foundation that's working with, I guess, baby leagues and all the different age group tournaments. Football, of course, we know is Mizoram's arguably the most favorite sport over here. But that model, is it possible to replicate in quite a few other sports that we've seen, like they're trying to kind of get a push over here with judo, with weightlifting, with other sports?
Yeah, hello, good afternoon everybody, and thank you so much for that question, Mihir. First of all, I'd like to, on behalf of Reliance Foundation, give my gratitude to the Honorable Chief Minister, the Honorable Sports Minister, and all the dignitaries, Indian Olympic Association, various national sports federations and state bodies who are here. If I can just start with a brief comment saying that sports is a great unifier. On the sports field, we're all the same. And it's a unifier also for our country. It gives us a common goal to work towards. Maybe we reach it in different ways, as we are seeing, in this kind of a sports conclave where Mizoram has proposed itself as the first state in India to kind of answer the question, who is going to win the medals in 2036, right? So various opinions, various points of view come together in a place like this, and this is why such things are important. And for Reliance Foundation, we would, our aim is to be a to give systemic support to athletes and to the system, right? Yes, we do have elite athlete programs, which we recognize that elite athletes need something above and beyond. So there are individualized programs. But I think if we have to grow as a country, then the corporate sector needs to work together with federations to support the entire ecosystem. And so that when we have success, it's not one-off, but it's replicable. And that is, I think, that'll be the real test of our country's sustained success in sports. Coming back to your question about our Young Champs and Football Development Program. So we're running an academy in Mumbai, a residential academy for football excellence, in which we employed some of the best coaches in the world. This is UEFA pro level coaches, people who would train the A-League teams in European countries, for example. And this is a program which starts from 14 to 18. So that is the development phase. However, what we've seen is that in a highly competitive sport like football, you need to catch kids even younger, and you need to prepare them to come and receive the kind of expert training we have, right? So when a 14-year-old kid comes to the academy, he or she should already understand certain things like, the tactical know-how, the biomechanics or techniques, what does it mean, what is the intensity of training. So what happens sometimes is when a 13-year-old kid comes, he or she is not able to cope with that level. So we've started this program with the Mizoram Football Association and with the government over here. And we've started a grassroots development program in which we have, in Aizawl itself, there are 12 teams. There are teams across 3 more districts, surrounding districts over here, in which coaches are given key competences to transmit to athletes and to prepare them for, a higher level of coaching. And I think this is a very important gap. Because certain biomechanical factors, certain attitudes towards high performance training need to be ingrained, right? And so that program has had a lot of success for Mizoram. We've seen so many Mizo athletes playing in high level football leagues, at ISL, at the I-League, And in our academy itself, there's a large component of athletes from this region. The second part of the question, whether this can be replicated. Yes, I think especially this partnership between state governments and corporates such as ourselves, Tata, GSW, it's shown time and again that that it's successful. In Bhubaneswar, we are running a joint venture with the Odisha government, and we're running a high-performance athletics program, in which the government has predisposed all the infrastructure which is required, and which is going to remain with the government for a long time. And we bring in the know-how, the foreign coaching, the expertise, the sports science, which is, you know, kind of a key word in going forward and in the development of sports. So all these things coming together, and of course one must mention that this, the Reliance Foundation is working out of CSR. So more and more CSR budget is now going towards sports, which is a great thing for sport in general. But also there is the commercial interests of many corporates that should realize that sport is a way to reach out to people, to associate with not just people, but with a value system that brands can benefit from. And so they should also be part of this whole pie, this whole development program.
Yeah, I mean, if Reliance, Tatas and Jindals even set aside 1% of their turnovers for CSR, I think Indian sport will be in a much better place. Rashdi, I saw your eyes lit up during the cultural performances, looking at the footwork, the deft footwork. I don't think it leaves any doubt in our minds why the best footballers are coming off Mizoram right now. You seem to be working with a lot of athletes from Mizoram, from the Northeast overall at IIS. I mean, I want to move to the next part of the discussion, that is the talent identification process. But from your experience of working with the athletes from the Northeast region, are there any traits that really make them good? Because when we look at the broader sporting scenario in India, we have loads of athletes from Mizoram, from Manipur, from Meghalaya, who tend to excel in quite a variety of sport, where the rest of the country lags behind.
Thank you. Firstly, for me, I'd like to thank the Chief Minister and the Minister of Sport for having us here. As you mentioned, the reason why we're here is for exactly that reason. We've got a long association, particularly with the Northeast, and many of the athletes that are at IIS would be coming from the Northeast. We've got our football academy where a lot of young boys from Mizoram is there. Our judo program, our boxing program, again, very strong contingents from the Northeast. What I have observed, and I mean, without doing an in-depth research around that, would be, you find the kids are really tough. They're extremely resilient. Very dedicated, very disciplined. I couldn't tell you exactly why that is, but I think also many of them come from very challenging circumstances. And what we found is that coming into an environment like IIS, they grab the opportunity with both hands, and they see it as an opportunity to have a life-changing experience. We've been very fortunate that in our judo program, we've got a young girl from the Northeast who went on to become the first, world champion in judo at the cadet level. And just to make sure, just to show that it wasn't a fluke, a year later, we had another young girl going on to the World Cadet Championships again and winning another medal there, a bronze medal. But as I said to you, I think, the toughness of the kids is something that that stands out, very clearly compared to many of the other peers. As I said, they'll be the first ones at training. There's a lot of pride in what they do. If I go down to the combat hall on a Sunday, you'll find many of the kids, and as I said, particularly in the combat sports where we have a big judo contingent, you'll find them out there doing their own work, doing their own workouts. But as importantly, after they're finished working, they'll scrub down the mats themselves, look after the environment, and show a great deal of pride in what they're doing. I think, when you have attributes like that in an athlete, it always stands out, and it gives them a much higher chance of being successful, not only in their sporting careers, but in their life also.
You know, one of the most fascinating stories I find in India is the army goes to Rajasthan, which is largely a drought-prone desert, to find India's best rowers. So I think it kind of shows that it doesn't matter, the geography sometimes doesn't matter, but when you go around scouting people or selecting people for your program, what attributes do you look for? And is there something that, you know, you're in Mizoram, in the wider Northeast, that young athletes, the local coaches over here can spot? Is there a trick that you know, as a coach or a high performance coach over the years, that you think that, oh, huge calves, okay, maybe good for weightlifting, something like that?
You know, I mean, I myself come from a coaching background, and in fact, while I was coaching in South Africa, the first role that I took on in South Africa in the National Federation was that of working in talent identification and development. And much of the same principles I use then as a coach is what I look for, key principles that I look for now. And it's very similar to what we do across the board when we go through our process, our selection process at IS. Any athlete that is brought into our system, we look at them over an extended period of time. So they'll come into the environment, they'll be assessed according to technical and tactical abilities. We'll have a look at them in terms of their medical, you know, what is happening from a medical point of view and a physiological point of view. What is also, I mean, from a musculoskeletal point of view, what that looks like. But the part that doesn't get spoken about a lot is just the observation of them in the training environment. And when I say observation, many of the times they're just being watched, understanding how it is that they adapt to the environment. What we look for is not only the resilience that the athletes show, but also, as importantly, their ability to make changes and the ability to learn. One of the most important things about, I believe, for any athlete that you're looking for is how fast they learn. If they can learn faster than their opponents, the likelihood is that they're going to improve at a much higher rate, and their willingness to learn. So even when we bring an athlete in, a key component would be their education, right? Whether they're willing to go to school, because we've got a school on site. Are they willing to go to school? Is that something that, irrespective of where they are in terms of the education, are they willing to adapt to the environment in their schooling environment, and understand whether they are, how willing are they to make the necessary changes, not just doing what they've always been doing. So for me, a key component to any coaching competency that you're looking, or coachability that you're looking for, is an athlete that wants to learn, an athlete that's willing to learn, athlete that's prepared to take charge of themselves. As I say to you, when you see the athletes have a level of discipline where they're prepared to have a pride and go and do their work on their own, clean down the mats on their own afterwards, that is what we look for in our athletes, over and above the technical and tactical abilities and the physiological and medical aspects.
I think you raise a very important point here, where I think where the private players also can come into play is the holistic development of athletes and kind of fill the gaps over there. Neelam, we were discussing this morning over coffee about this point. How does it kind of work out in terms of getting a very young athlete, say maybe aged 8 or 10 or 12, pick them up from their natural environment, say a young kid from Mizoram, then maybe take them to an academy which might be thousands of kilometers away in a totally different part of the country. Is that a viable model, or is it better to kind of support them over here, help them grow around their families in their natural environment? What is the better way forward? Is there a better way forward?
Definitely, I would want to have the younger kids in their own homes, in their own environment, providing them the right kind of training, as long as we can do, in that environment. That's, I think, crucial for their holistic development. We've done, we've done our mistakes I would say, or so we've tried out multiple ways. For football, we've really, we did both kind of programs. We had set up a center of excellence in Mizoram itself. We had scouted for talent, had a grassroots program way back in 2017. We started off, and it was going on till 2021. Post-COVID, we had to stop it, where we were training young Mizos in their own backyard. So in Aizawl itself, we had the Center of Excellence. And we had another program with a tie-up with foreign collaborations, and had scouted some talent and sent them to Germany or Spain for training. And we realized that, over the years, it was so difficult for the young children to adjust to a very different alien environment. Initial couple of years just goes off in just trying to understand that culture, language, adjust to it. So, based on that, we definitely would want to have programs which we can continue in the state. And for that, I think the most important thing is building the capacity at the local level, and not capacity of not just the players, the coaches, the referees, who are very much important to develop the players there, but also the associations, also working with the government and trying to see how we can strengthen those aspects which the government can do and what we can complement, so that we create a stronger ecosystem in the state. Infrastructure, of course, plays a very big role, especially for sports like, any sport you could say that, but for badminton, of course, here we don't have a 6-court, we don't have, in fact, a 4-court badminton hall is the maximum that we have in the state. But in spite of that, we were able to produce champions there. So it goes to say that, yes, infra is not the only thing. Process is important. Having the right kind of people in the program who are willing to learn, as we really clearly said, that it's crucial. You can't, and that's the reason we would prefer to work with younger coaches who can be easily groomed on the correct techniques of science, of correct techniques of coaching, and then that can help provide that environment to the children for the younger age group in the state as much as possible. At some point in time, yes, they have to go out when they aspire to get to the next level, and we have 15 athletes who have been placed in PGBA, Pulala Gopichan Academy, in ITM, where they've been training and for the past two years now. Thankfully, even Gopichan is very clear that he doesn't want to pick up very young athletes. So now we have another program, a stronger program, where we're saying that the elite athletes from Mizoram will get to train in PGBA for 2 to 3 months a year. Initially, from the beginning, we used to send them only for like 15 days or twice a year, which was not very sufficient, but with that we were able to get success. But now we have intensified it and said that, okay, let's see if we can have them in PGBA for more time. We have trained coaches from Mizoram who have been trained in PGBA. They were actually employed by PGBA. Gopichan actually employed them, sent them to different academies, built their capacities, and one of the coaches is now placed back in the training center here in Aizawl. So that coach now brings a different perspective, because he's actually trained athletes at the next competitive levels in different academies, and is able to train our kids better. So here they are being trained by somebody who's more experienced. They get to go and train and see the likes of Shrikant and Saina and all training in the academy, which is a huge thing for these young kids. And I believe that till 14, 15, if we are able to strengthen this program here, after that, yes, with the best of them, they have to get into residential academies, which they can be taken care of for, so that morning, evening sessions, there's food, diet, everything gets taken care. That's, I think, at some point in time essential to build them and help them represent the nation.
you mentioned infrastructure, but I mean, in Bombay we have plenty of courts, but there's no point because you have to pay thousands of rupees for membership,
Yeah.
and it's not accessible anyway. Shiva, I mean, speaking of accessibility, your hometown in Himachal, I would take the liberty of making a comparison that the infrastructure beyond sport, the basic infrastructure, roads and railways, and the challenges from going here to participate in various competitions across the country, to be a part of the coaching camps, that must have been a challenge for you as well while you were an athlete. Now, I was here the last time in 2017, and since then I've seen a massive change in terms of the number of bridges that are built, the roads, the railway line coming up. So we can be hopeful that the accessibility and the connectivity will improve. But until then, how do you kind of make sure that an athlete kind of isn't, kind of being left behind or isn't kind of suffering because of that? How do you kind of ensure that the athlete gets that support?
Well, that's a very good question. It's actually a very complex question, because in the journey of an athlete, there are various phases. If we were to break it down into, I think, what we learn about as a long-term, athlete development model, okay? In the beginning, I think it's more important to engage with the athletes, with kids. They should understand that sport is fun. That they're not practicing sports to gain something. They're practicing sport to socialize, to make friends, to understand what social relationships are. This is the fundamental aspect. Then, of course, there is the time in the development of a child when you learn motor skills, right? So you learn your hand-eye coordination. You get the range of motion. After that, especially in the kind of sports system which we have right now, you start to learn about how you train, right? And so you ingrain those basics into children. It's only much later when you get into the competitive part of sport where you go more and more into the finer details, right? We spoke about badminton courts. So what is the difference of having one badminton court or, 16 badminton courts, the draft which is in the air. So all fine things that maybe an elite athlete will appreciate, but could be wasted on a development level athlete. So I think, and as in some of the speeches earlier today, I mean, we're talking about sportsmen, sportswomen, sportspersons. I think, first of all, the important thing is the person, right? The all-round development of a person. And that is what we need to be aspiring to as a country, right? That we have human beings that are not just fit physically, mentally, because mentally is also a huge aspect in sport, but also able to live out their lives in the best way, So there's one thing I'd like to share, I mean, from my experience, from my long experience in sports, and especially as an Olympian, is being an Olympian, right? It's a philosophy of life, right? And the founder of the Olympic movement put it, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's a way of life based on the joy found in effort, right? When you dedicate yourself to one thing, the happiness that you get from it and that you can share with others that have your same experience, right? That is one thing. And it is a movement which wants to get to a peaceful coexistence and cooperation in nations. So these are the larger, things about sport that if we grasp this big picture, then we're not looking at a 7-year-old wanting to turn him or her into a world champion, putting so much pressure. No, that is not, that is an outcome of a proper system. And luckily in our country, we have such a huge talent pool, such a huge human resource pool, that it should be easier for us to to be able to identify, people who will succeed. And but that means, coming back to your point again, to the access for sport. You need to give people access to sport where they are. For children, is mainly in schools. Sports centers should be community centers where not just athletes, but the communities can come together, celebrate them. It's going to take some time for us to reach there, but I think, conclaves such as this allow us to, start to explore and talk about these things.
Yeah, can I just one, because you talked about the Olympic values, I mean, you did, so the motto, the joy of in the effort, and to add in it, I think we only relate Olympics to medals, but you have these Olympic values which are respect and excellence in self, friendship, which I think we don't speak about as much, but are so much equally important if we focus on them for each and every, and that's for everybody, that excellence is not as compared to others, but it's excellence in self. If you're all striving for that, then it would really develop the child holistically and reduce the pressure, I think. Just, it's not necessary you need to get a medal, but it's okay if you work and develop yourself and become a better version of yourself. So that's what I think.
And if I may, this also, what this translates to when we're talking about young athletes. Now we all know that in our country, for young athlete development, one of the issues is age fraud. Okay? So already from a young age, children are learning to cheat on their age to win. And so that is not only giving the wrong message, but also stifling the development of the real champions. Because you will never be able to compete against someone much older than you at that young age. Doping. It's a huge problem in our country, but we are working on it now, right? So these, I think that's why it's important to look at the important principles and not just the end goal. The end goal will come. You have to trust the process. We know what the process is. It's sports science, so it's replicable. But the value system is extremely important so that in 2036, our young kids from today can go and dominate the medal table.
That gives me a nice segue to get into the final segment of our discussion. I know a lot of you are hungry already. It's well past lunchtime for many of you, so we won't keep you for long. Rashdi, you were telling me how you kind of have a system back at IIS where you teach the athletes not just the basics of their sport, but also basics of living a nice life, be it educating them about banking or communication. How important are those aspects for an athlete, especially from a very young age, because they're kind of in a bubble and they rarely step out of that bubble?
One of the underlying philosophies that we have at IIS is about the holistic development of the athlete. And it's something probably that I learned, that became very evident to me during my time in New Zealand, where, the national rugby team, which is the most winning ratio in the world of sport, they've got this saying that goes, better men, better All Blacks. And, we've modified that somewhat in our environment. Better people, better athletes. We believe that an athlete that is well-rounded is going to be better at what they do, and that doesn't only include their sport. For them, for anybody that walks through the doors, we have a belief that when they leave our facility, when they move on with their life, they've got to go on to they've got to leave in a better place, and they've got to go on to be contributing members of society. And as such, they will become champions. We look at various things. Firstly, like I said, education is really important. And the reason why education is important to us is not because they need something to fall back on. It's about teaching them to think for themselves, teaching them to think critically, teaching them to take accountability, letting them do things that they don't really enjoy because they want to do sport all the time, but telling them that, you still have to do other things in life too. As you mentioned, we look at it from various factors. We have a cooking class where they go into our kitchen and they, they learn to cook for themselves with the nutritionists, with the chefs that we've got available to them. We have, lessons around financial planning. We've got, again, from our CSR, various donors that we have. We've got quite a few financial institutions. They would send people in teaching athletes about the importance of saving, the importance about financial planning, what it looks like in terms of opening accounts. We also have English as a spoken language. So other than the formal education, there are life skills that we believe are really important that will allow these young people, these young athletes to be more well-rounded and as such become better athletes. There's nothing more frustrating than going into an environment where you just cannot communicate with somebody, English being one of the universal languages, just being able to understand what somebody wants and how to express yourself is as important to stop a level of frustration setting in. As I said, one of the other big programs we do is particularly around female athletes, teaching them about the importance of female athlete health, what their menstrual cycles need to look like, and doesn't mean just because they're an athlete they're allowed to miss a menstrual cycle, and what that means, how to manage that effectively. As I said, again, for us, the more prepared an athlete is as a person, the more prepared they are going to be to perform at the highest level and to fulfill their internal potential.
I remember, I think IIS had done a study on how menstrual cycles, irregular menstrual cycles can impact women athletes in terms of their injuries and the specific injuries that they face. So I think that kind of research work is where the private entities can really step in and give us a policy direction. But speaking of that, Neelam, you've met the education minister here, I think yesterday. I believe that there would have been talk about having sports in the curriculum. I'm fishing here as a journalist, perhaps that's my skill. But do you think, going forward, we can have a model where the government gives a policy direction, infrastructure push, and then the federations and the private bodies collaborate to develop athletes? Do you think that can be a viable way forward?
I believe that's a viable way forward, and it's a start here. I think, firstly, education and sports, I think they are connected, very much so, and they are, there's a lot, it's important, integrated with each other. The importance cannot be underlined that this is more or this is less, For every sports person to be educated, to have the career after a professional player's career is over, you need to be educated. You need to have that equal importance. For every child in a school to have sports as a part of their everyday life is extremely crucial to develop holistically. And there are so many skills that you learn on the field which you cannot learn sitting in a classroom. When I met, I was just having that conversation with the sports minister on as how we are facing a challenge with some of our children who are training in the mornings, not able to attend school, and because of that, we figuring out ways in which we can supplement them, because ours is not a residential training center here. So at that time we said, can we have some conversations with the minister to see what kind of policy can we have, or what kind of support we can give, not just for badminton players, but for all professional or players who are training to be professionals in the state. Can we have some remedial classes for them in the afternoon, because typically all the schools are in the morning. So, but if we can have something for these children in the afternoon in some of the schools which we affiliate and say that these are the schools which can provide this support to our children, giving them tutors for some important subjects, that could really make a huge difference in the lives of these children. They should not be kept away from social interaction and a regular life as you would engage or you would do in a school setup. At a education level, at a school level, physical literacy is one of the components which we at the trust We've developed our own curriculum. We are implementing that in Uttarakhand, in the government schools, in 300 government schools, through a train the trainer program. So I've already spoken about it to him, saying that this is, so we expect a physical educator to be there, which unfortunately that's the first step where we don't have them in majority of the schools. But there could be certain activities which can be taken up even by a class teacher. And if we work on what we have, basic bare minimum, there are ways in which sports and I wouldn't say sports, but physical activity can be integrated into education. And that could become the stepping stone, that could set up the foundation for multiple sports for all our children there, develop holistic lifestyle for them, make them love sports in some ways. And then you have these grassroots programs layering on top of it with the communities which give them competitive training. And then we have the likes of ISW and Reliance who can come ahead with their excellence programs. So I think this collaborative approach of everyone working on different layers, but coming together ultimately to provide a pathway for the child, right from a school to excellence, with support from all the stakeholders in the ecosystem is the way to go ahead.
We used to have our Hindi teacher accompanying as a hockey coach for our matches, so hopefully that will change. But Shiva, last question to you. We speak about all these things which are important, but if I am a 10-year-old athlete, all these things will be very boring to me. I don't want to hear about finances. I don't want to hear about speaking well or any other things. Now that you're on the other side, how do you kind of tell them that this is important to know as well?
Important conversations to have with young people are not always easy. But I think, again, sport is a tool for education. Okay, I think that needs to be understood. When you have sports persons as role models in a society, it's much easier to give that message. If I were, to come here and to preach to athletes how they should behave or how they should train, there would be filters, right, that they apply. However, if there's going to be a local hero who's risen from here, who's been through the same things as these athletes are going through now, that message will just be absorbed. So, which is why we need to empower our athletes. One, because the revolution starts by having such role models. We could take a, easiest example, probably Neeraj Chopra, right? Nobody in India dreamt about, reaching the Olympics in javelin throw. Even if they would dream, they would say, okay, I'm going to reach the Olympics. But now that's not the dream anymore. Now they want to win. And you have to believe it first in order to be able to do it, right? So such role models are important. And athletes, since sport is such a short career term, after active sport, there should be career options for such athletes to get back in their communities, to become coaches, to become educators, to work in federations. And that's how I think then you get the best practices of the world, because these guys have traveled around, they know, and they can transmit it to people right here in their home village, hometown, and so on. It's very important for everybody also in the ecosystem, as you were just saying, to realize their role in it. It's important to collaborate, and the government has some role, the federations have some role, and private organizations have a supporting role. I mean, we cannot come and take over the roles of others. So once that is understood, then I think, we are able to move further, and the base is always to empower the key stakeholder, which is the athletes. It's my opinion.
Lovely. I think you mentioned heroes, and there are absolutely no dearth of heroes in Mizoram. You have Lalrim Siami, Changte, who scored a wonderful goal day before yesterday. Then you've got Jeremy, weightlifter. Plenty of them, and I'm sure there'll be plenty to come in the next decade. I think big round of applause for all of them. It's been great. And I think we can hopefully open the floor for questions and then proceed for lunch, I'm guessing. Yeah. So any questions? Anyone? Yeah, I think we have here.
Hello. Yeah. Greetings to the panelists. I represent the Wrestling Association here in Mizoram. And I'm going to address Mrs. Neelam, but any inputs from the other panelists would be greatly appreciated. So, Miss, we overheard you talking about structured programs and identifying gaps there, as well as local capacity building. And it resonated with us because the Wrestling Association here has been, how do I say, doing more with less, and we've been trying very hard. So we were wondering if there can be any provisions from your organizations for us, for wrestling, the way you have given badminton or football. Because we believe, or rather I would say we know, that Mizoram can benefit from wrestling. We can go very high, and we have the achievements to back this up. So that's, we're, questioning if you could, if there are any avenues to help us.
As of head of sports in the trust, I think the biggest challenge always, or the most difficult thing for me always has been to not to be able to support all those who come to us. There are many deserving institutes, associations who are doing some great work there. And it's always a difficult question. Why badminton and why not wrestling? Why athletics and why not table tennis? Every sport is important. Every sport is unique, and you can always get to the next level there. But unfortunately for us, firstly it's not CSR funds which is available to us. It's the private trust of the Tata family that is available. So it's limited funding. There's work that needs to be done. I mean, the trust does work in education, livelihood, sanitation, arts, and sports is again a very small theme. So it's frankly based on the limited funds that we have to pick and choose. And as I said, very difficult task to tell me, okay, this is you should support this or that. Having said that, we will always try and see what we can do. Maybe not be able to run a full-fledged program, or maybe not now, maybe later, as in how the funds are available. But there are certain components of the program that we run here which can be applied across sports. An example I can give you, we are doing a mental training, we are introducing a mental training sessions for young children at a group level. We just did an introduction for badminton, workshop for badminton yesterday, and we are happy to get any athletes from other sports also participate in that and benefit from it. So, I mean, those are the things which we can offer across sports. If we are doing capacity building here, if I'm getting an expert to teach about mental training or nutrition or for sports physio, very open to have other federations also take the benefit of it in that limited capacity. I mean, whatever we can do, we will definitely try and do this. Thank you.
I think that's it. We have to kind of end this session here, but thanks a lot to all of you for taking time out and sharing your views here, and thank you everyone for patiently listening to us. Thank you so much, and once again a big round of applause for them, please.
Thank you. Hello.
Thank you so much. That was a very invigorating discussion that we are listening to. We wish we could open the floor for more questions, but we are running out of time. So we will continue with just 1-2 lines of our takeaways. As we can see, and from the conversations that we heard, when the private sector invests in athletes, it becomes a win-win situation in the long run. And we have been getting such good results in Mizoram. So we do hope our private sector will think not twice, but just once before they invest. And we would be really open to all the investments that can come our way. Now we would like to call upon our Secretary, Mizoram State Sports Council, Mr. John Altanpuya. We will have a short ceremony of handing over mementos to our special guests. Thank you, sir. And next, I would like to call upon our Honorable Sports Minister, Pulalhing Lawamar Putetea. I would like Putete to remain standing with us, if possible. So you will be giving the next round, yes. And thank you so much, Sir John. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry, Oputete. I would like to call upon Honorable Chief Minister to hand the mementos to our ministers and our guests. Okay. I would like to call upon Ms. Nandita Kalosa from Honorable Chief Minister, Sports from Assam. Okay. Okay, and now we would like to call upon Ms. Neelam Babardesai. Thank you, ma'am. Next, we would like to call upon Mr. Shiva Keshavan. Thank you, Mr. Keshavan. And next, we would call upon Mr. Rajdi Warle. Thank you, Mr. Worley. And last of all, we would like to call Mr. Mahir Vasavda. Thank you, Mr. Vasavda. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of the first half of our program today. We would like to ask the guests, the VIP guests, to move to the lounge for their lunch. The LOs will guide them to the lounge. And for the rest of us, the other guests, the buffet has been laid. We can collect our lunch from the buffet and sit on the tables that we are already sitting on to have our lunch. I hope you enjoy your lunch. Thank you.